Macmillan Audio presents A World on Edge, The End of the Great War and the Dawn of a New Age, by Daniel Schönpflug. Read for you by Gerard Doyle. Prologue. And now the torch and poppy red we wear in honour of our dead. Fear not that ye have died for naught. We'll teach the lesson that ye wrought in Flanders fields. Moina Michael. In the early hours of November 11th, 1918, the German Kaiser dangles at the end of a long noose strung between two skyscrapers in New York. Confetti flutters through the sunlight and swirls around the lifeless German monarch. Obviously, this isn't Wilhelm II in the flesh, but merely his likeness, a larger-than-life cloth puppet, complete with moustache and spiked Pickelhaube helmet. Long white paper streamers tossed from the upper stories catch on the point and sway majestically, high above the street. The armistice between the Allies and the German Empire took effect at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. After 4 years of relentless fighting, the Germans, called Huns since the beginning of hostilities, have been brought to their knees. The Great War has been won, at the cost of more than 16 million lives worldwide. New Yorkers learn the news from the morning papers and take to the streets by the thousands. A sea of people swells below the skyscrapers, decked out in suits and bowler hats, in their best Sunday attire, in olive drab and nurses' uniforms. They walk shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm, saluting, embracing. Church bells peal, salutes are fired, marches and fanfares join with millions of laughing, singing and chanting voices to form a din like crashing surf. Honking their horns, drivers steer through the crowds at walking speed, while those inside wave flags enthusiastically above the cars. The cheering city erupts in a spontaneous festival, with hand-painted posters, self-proclaimed tribunes, musical bands, and people dancing with abandon in the streets. All work comes to a standstill on this day of victory, which, so they believe, will soon lead to peace throughout the world. Moina Michael had recently taken a leave of absence from her job as a house mother and instructor at a women's teaching college in Georgia, and for several weeks has been working for the YWCA. In the buildings of Columbia University in Manhattan, this solidly built woman of almost 50 helps young women and men prepare for overseas service. The most capable among them are to cross the Atlantic to become civilian workers behind the front lines, helping soldiers get needed supplies. Or so they think. 2 days before the end of the war, Michael happens to get hold of a copy of the Ladies' Home Journal, featuring the war poem In Flanders Fields by Canadian Lieutenant John McCrae, which begins with the lines, In Flanders fields the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row. The page in the magazine is ornately decorated with heroic soldier figures, hovering as though ascending to heaven, above a graveyard covered in red poppies. A rapt Michael reads the poem to its conclusion, where McCrae conjures up the image of a dying soldier whose ever-weakening hands pass the torch of battle to the survivors. The words and images echo inside her, as if the poem were written just for her, as though the voices of the dead were speaking directly to her. She is the one who is meant. She must extend her hand and grasp the sinking torch of peace and liberty. She must become an instrument to keep the faith. She must ensure that the memories of millions of victims never fade. They can't have fought in vain. Their deaths cannot have been senseless. Michael is so moved by the poem and the mission she suddenly envisions that she takes a pencil and jots down verses of her own on a yellow envelope. The lines center on the poppy. Swearing a vow in rhyme, she pledges to pass on the lesson from the fields of Flanders to future generations.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?